23rd meeting of Old Dominion University Student Government Association. Today is Tuesday, April the 10th, and the time is 3:02 p.m. Today on the agenda, we have the adoption of the agenda, followed by the adoption of the previous minutes, followed by the new senator induction, followed by quorum, followed by the president's report, followed by the ODUPD report, followed by our guest speaker, the members of the DEA, followed by old business, Senate Bill 22, the Reserve Fund bylaws, followed by Resolution 14, the Commuter Student Lounge, followed by our new business, Contingency 13, 14, 15, 16, Resolution 15, and Resolution 16, followed by the Executive Board reports, the Advisor's report, the Reserve Seat report, public comments announcements, followed by adjournment. Is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Moore.
A motion to table contingency number 14 indefinitely because they don't want to go through with it anymore.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to indefinitely table. Actually, you can strike it from the agenda at this stage, but you cannot table it indefinitely until we get to it on the agenda. So you just strike from the agenda? Okay. There's a motion on the floor to strike contingencies 14 from the agenda. Is there a second? Any opposition? Madam Chief of Staff, can you please strike contingency 14 from the agenda? Is there any more motions? Yes, Senator Sims.
I move to strike contingency 16 from the agenda on the grounds that they are not here.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to strike contingency 16 from the agenda on the grounds that they are not here. Is there a second? Any opposition? With no opposition, Madam Chief of Staff, can you please make that present? Are there any more motions on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Any opposition? No opposition. The agenda has been approved. Okay, so the first order of business today is the adoption of the previous minutes. Madam Chief of Staff, can you please bring up the previous minutes? Thank you. Because the previous minutes were sent out ahead of time, they will not be read aloud. Are there any questions on the previous minutes? No questions on the previous minutes. The previous minutes have also been approved. The next order of business is the new senator induction. So everyone that was not inducted last week, come up here so we can induct you. Sorry, can you raise your hands? Repeat after me. I state name.
I, Kevin William,
Do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
to vow to uphold the vision and mission
to vow to uphold the vision and mission
of Old Dominion University
of Old Dominion University
through my service to the student government,
to my service to the student government,
the entirety of the student body,
the entirety of the student body,
and the university,
and the university,
and impartially execute
and partially execute
the duties of senator
the duties of senator
as prescribed by the Constitution of the Student Government Association
as prescribed as the Constitution of the Student Government Association
and Old Dominion University Student Conduct Policy.
and Old Dominion University Student Conduct Policy.
Congratulations. Okay, next order of business is quorum, which is now 22, if I'm counting right. And since Jordan's not here, just kidding, 23. And because Jordan's not here, we're not going to do the president's report. So now we have the ODUPD report.
Hello everyone, how are y'all doing today? You had asked me a question last week with regards to Punish a Muslim Day, and to get back with you. What we had found out that it originated in the UK. So Officer Evans and I did some research, and we also went over to the mosque over here, and we spoke with them. So just to add to let you know that it originated over there, and it's still being looked at and still being handled. So thank you. I just want to make sure I got with you about that. Guys, Norfolk has asked for our assistance and there are our brothers in blue, so we're asking for your assistance. The first of this month, there was a robbery, 5200 block of Powhatan. So Norfolk has asked our assistance in identifying some suspects. So guys, these are the persons that they have identified. And like I said, what we're asking that you guys, if y'all see something, say something, please use your LiveSafe app. Please call 683-4000 or even 911. But please do not approach. Once again, they have robbed 2 of our students, and Norfolk has asked, our partners have asked for us to to let you guys know the voice of ODU. So we're asking you guys, if you see something, please say something so we can look at getting these people behind bars where they deserve. Okay, guys?
We know that you guys are our, we tell them all the time, you guys are our secret weapon. You guys are our eyes and ears. So 9 times out of 10, they're frequenting around here. One of you guys have probably seen them, or at least have a friend that has. All right, and if you do come across them, like my partner was saying, just let us know. We'll come in and we'll do the rest of the hard heavy lifting. All right, so just keep that in mind. And of course, just take a peek at it real quickly and pass it around, because it's not for public dissemination. We're actually just entrusting this to you guys to kind of look at and kind of keep an eye out for us. Okay, no, don't take pictures of it. Don't download it. Just take a peek at it, pass it around. We'll take that back with us when we go. Okay.
Any questions? All right, family, thank you guys.
All right, the next order of business is our guest speaker. Can we give him a warm welcome? It's a long walk inside,
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Lee, and I am what's called the resident agent in charge for the Drug Enforcement Administration here in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm sure most of you know, well, a lot of people, we're kind of surprised, but a lot of people don't know exactly what DEA is, what we do. So I'm going to share a little bit of that with you, kind of what we do, what we are tasked to do, and some of the things that we're actually doing out here in this Norfolk area community and throughout Hampton Roads. But what I wanted to do was start by letting you know that I am a 1991 graduate of Old Dominion University. So when I was walking in today, when the young ladies came out to get me, because I didn't know where to park at, of course, I said, well, I'm going to tell everyone a quick story about how, we were talking about, starting your careers and, getting jobs and this type of stuff. So in March of 1991, I'm in my senior year, and I'm walking I live back in Powhatan Apartments. I think you're still here. Okay, still here. So I live back in Powhatan Apartments. So I'm walking through this building here, Webb Center, and it just so happened to be a job fair going on this particular day. So it's March, and I know I'm graduating in May, but I really don't know what I'm going to do when I get out of school. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm a criminal justice major, Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. And one thought was, well, okay, maybe I'll go into corrections. Well, I did a quick tour of St. Bride's prison down in Chesapeake, and I said, no, that's not for me. When I heard the doors click behind me, I said, okay, I don't think I can do that every day. Even though I'm supposed to be able to get out, I'm not going to take that chance. So then I got involved with an internship with Chesapeake Police Department, where I did some ride-along and also did some statistical work for one of their robbery unit or burglary units or something. But doing a ride-along with the police department, I said, okay, well, you know what, this is not bad, but I don't know if this is really what I want to do. So the internship ends probably right, and mine's had carried over into the second semester of my senior year, but it finished like around February or so. So now I've had that experience, I've had the St. Bride's prison experience, and otherwise I really don't know what I'm going to do. So when I'm walking through Webb Centers on this particular day, they have this job fair, which of course, if I'd have been smart, I probably would have realized, hey, it's a job fair today. Maybe I should make it my point to actually go back there and maybe I can get a job. But no, I'm not thinking like that. So I walk through the building, and there's a gentleman, he has on a green uniform. It was a lot of different law enforcement agencies there, but this gentleman, he had on a green uniform. I said, man, that's kind of unique. I had never seen that before. So I go up and I started talking to him. His name is Tommy Nowlin. We talking back and forth. He says, yeah, I've been on the job X number of years with Chesterfield County Police Department. He says, yeah, it's great. I do recruiting now. And as a matter of fact, we're taking applications right now, but today is our last day. So now it's like, well, hey, you know what? Give me one of these applications. And these are the days when you can take your application, you can actually write it by hand. So I go back over to my Powhatan apartment, and it takes me a few minutes to get through this thing. I'm in my senior year, but there's some questions on here. I'm like, what is this? I don't know how to answer this. So I answered the best I can. And by the time I finish it, and I come back to Webb Center, I come through one door, and I don't, everybody's pretty much packed up. So I'm like, oh man, where did everybody go? Well, I circle around to another door, go up the backside, and I see Mr. Nowlin. He's got his box. He's putting his stuff in his car. He's ready to go. So I come across, hey, got my application. Well, he takes it. Fast forward, I get hired as a police officer in August of 1991. I stayed there for 7 years. And then in 1999, that's when I started my career with DEA. So when I was telling these young ladies, when I was walking in, sometimes you don't know. You have to be in the right place at the right time, and you got to keep your perspective very wide, especially when you're starting out in your career. You don't always start out doing exactly what you want to do, but hopefully you're doing something that you want to do that's important to you and that you really have a calling for, because you're going to give it your best effort. And for me, that's what happened. I didn't know that I would like law enforcement, but when I got in it, first going through the police academy, marching and drilling and all this type of stuff, that wasn't me. But when I got there, I said, okay, I can do this. We had people in my class that were prior military. They were used to a lot of this stuff. I wasn't. I was straight out of college. I was, playing flag football on Old Foreman Field, going to the field house, playing pickup hoops and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, they're telling you, you're talking about a 22-year person. They're telling you, hey, now you're responsible for a whole lot of things that you would never think about. Mainly because they issue you a firearm and they tell you, hey, you have the authority to take someone's life with this firearm. To me, as a 22-year-old, that was a lot of responsibility, and I took it very seriously. So I just share that story with you to let you know that don't get discouraged. If some of you in the room here now are coming up on graduation, hey, I just don't know exactly what I want to do. You might have to take that job. You might have to take a job back at home, or you might have to take something that you might not necessarily want now, but use that going forward to build on where you want to be. So I just want to share that with you real quick. Now, getting to DEA. So like I said, I've been on since 1999. I started my career out in the Chicago area. Worked a lot of gangs and knuckleheads out there, for lack of a better term. I then proceeded down. I worked in the Caribbean for a while. I then came back to North Carolina, worked in North Carolina for a while, and then I got promoted here in Norfolk. So what exactly is DEA? Well, we are a federal United States Department of Justice agency. We basically get our marching orders from the Attorney General of the United States. We are an international agency. We have offices all across the United States, but we also have offices in South America, Canada, Africa, Asia, Australia. So we have offices all over the world. And what we're tasked to do, we are what's called a single mission agency, meaning our primary objective is to enforce the laws that fall under the Controlled Substances Act. So essentially, we are the federal drug police. That's our single mission agency. That's the single mission of our agency. Other agencies like FBI, they're multitask. They do counterterrorism, they do violent crime, they do white collar crime, public corruption, all sorts of things. Now it used to be called ICE, now it's called HSI. They do money laundering, they do human smuggling, they do all sorts of different things. ATF, they do not only firearms, they do violent crime. They do explosives. So most other agencies, they're involved with a wide spectrum of responsibilities. But DEA, we're single mission. We only concerned with enforcing and investigating violations of the Controlled Substances Act. So how do we do that? We have now it's probably less than 5,000 agents on the job with us. And we are spread all across, not only the United States, but all across the world. So how do we do? Much of our job is we partner with local police departments and state police agencies. And where we have what's called a task force officer program, meaning that local jurisdictions, they can send their officers over to work in a DA office space, working next to DA agents on a day-to-day basis. And that particular program and our relationship with our local partners, that's how we get things done. It is probably the primary key to allow us to do our job effectively. Why? Because it allows our 5,000 agents to become multifold, okay? 5,000 agents, you're like, wow, that's a pretty big number. It's really not, considering you got to cover the whole United States and all around the globe. That's not a lot of folks. Also, in our foreign offices, we also have, we work with the host countries, and then we train their officers. A lot of times, and sometimes it's the military, it depends on what the country is, but we train them to work side by side also with our agents in foreign countries. So our task force program, is particularly here domestically, it is the key to allow us to do the things that we're able to do, and that is to basically go after high-level drug traffickers. Here, locally in Norfolk, our office sits downtown Norfolk, but we have police officers from Norfolk Police Department, Virginia Beach Police Department, Portsmouth, Suffolk, Portsmouth Sheriff's Office, Virginia State Police, Southampton County Sheriff's Office, and what's our final one is, and then of course, when I say Norfolk office, we also cover on the other side the Hampton Newport News area, so we also have Hampton and Newport News police officers working with us on a day-to-day basis. So what do we try to do? We try to take information from those people that are out in our community that are committing drug-related crimes. We then investigate those crimes and we try to prosecute those cases in federal court, which is United States District Court. There's a United States District Court in Norfolk, and then there's also one in Newport News. The district courts are divided up into divisions. We're considered to be the Eastern District of Virginia, but that covers not only here in Hampton Roads, it covers Richmond, then it also covers up to North Virginia, the Alexandria area. So as part of our jobs, we conduct investigations. That means we buy drugs. We use taxpayer money to buy drugs. We get to, yeah, no, that's kind of crazy, right? Yeah, your tax dollars, yeah, we get to actually spend them to buy drugs with it. But it's all part of an investigative strategy. We also, we do wiretaps. We put up cameras and all kinds of different things. We talk to a lot of people. We interview a lot of people. We follow people around with airplanes, on foot, car, you know. So it's an investigation. I won't bore you guys per se, but it's multifaceted. And the biggest thing that I want you to take away from it is it's a concerted team effort. So everybody is not going to always be the lead case agent. Some days your job is just going to be, hey, go to the corner of A and B Street and stay there and wait for a blue car to come by. That's your job for the day. You wait for that blue car. Maybe it's coming by in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 hours, 3 days. Heck, it might not come by on that particular day. But that's your job. And if you're working as part of a team, you do what you have to do to help the team have success. So as we continue on, we do our various types of investigation. We typically focus on most of our time on what we consider the hardcore drugs: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine. We do some marijuana cases. We don't do a whole lot of them, but we do some marijuana cases, but they're going to be large scale. And I want you guys, as far as, because we're DEA, you know, we're not out here, our mission is not to arrest someone that has a marijuana cigarette in their pocket. That's not what our mandate is. Our mandate is to pursue and investigate large criminal organizations. And these criminal organizations, they typically are large enough not only to be inside the United States, but they're also going to have ties to countries outside the United States. And when you get outside of the United States, what we found is drug trafficking fuels so many other crimes, to include terrorism. A lot of our cases are closely linked to terrorism, and we use the drug case to produce information and intelligence that we then pass on to those people, such as the CIA, such as FBI working overseas, other agencies that are more equipped, including our military, to deal with those terroristic aspects of the investigation. Because once again, we are a single mission agency that conducts drug investigation. So transitioning from, kind of the basis of what we do, one big thing that we are really faced with right now, and it's truly an epidemic, and if you watch the news in the last probably 3 years or so, I'm sure you've heard about it, and that is the opioid or heroin epidemic. And the big issue that we're having right now is that heroin is back in full force. Heroin has been around for decades. And there was a time, especially in the 60s and 70s, when most heroin addicts in the United States, they became heroin addicts because heroin was their drug of choice. When they proceeded through whatever drugs they were using, heroin became their drug of choice. They became addicted, and then they unfortunately had to suffer through all the things that addiction to heroin brings with it. And this drug is devastating. But around about 2013, we started noticing that there was a shift in the heroin population, people that were using heroin. We started seeing a tremendous increase in overdoses. Overdoses in which people were using what they thought was heroin, and they were either dying right there on the spot, or some people were actually surviving, but the number of deaths from 2013 to even up into 2017, it has continued to climb astronomically during the course of those times. So, for example, in 2016, across the United States, there were approximately 60,000 heroin, or sometimes we call it opioid overdose deaths. 60,000 people died from using heroin or opioids. So what has been the big change? Well, now our heroin population, our heroin addicts, they aren't starting, or they aren't getting involved with heroin necessarily by starting out with heroin. What they're doing is, on so many occasions, they're starting out with prescription drugs. And people are starting out with prescription drugs, they're taking them, they become addicted to the prescription drugs, they then find out that, I have trouble obtaining pills, because at a certain point, a legitimate doctor, if you have an injury, if you have some legitimate purpose to be prescribed prescription drugs, at some point a doctor is going to not continue to write your prescriptions. They're going to say, hey, you've had enough time from your injury or recovering from the surgery. They're not going to write your prescription. So now what do? Well, now I have to go and find a way to get these pills that I've become addicted to. So a lot of people go to the street. They buy them off the street. There are people out there selling pills. They go that route. But that route is very expensive. So then they get to the point where I can no longer afford to go to the street to buy pills. So in their circle, someone typically tells them, well, hey, try heroin. It's much cheaper. So now people that they would think they would never have anything to do with heroin, but when their body starts craving those opioids, they pretty much have no control. And they decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to give this heroin a shot. A lot of people that are not necessarily straight out the bat, hardcore drug users, they start off by snorting heroin. And they see that as a means of a little bit less risque, if you will, than people that typically heroin is done intravenously. You shoot it into your veins with a needle. So that whole sight of a needle being in somebody's arm or being in a vein, a lot of people, they just can't wrap their mind around that initially. So that's why they start off snorting it. But people that started, they realized that to get that quicker, more intense rush and that euphoric feeling of the high from heroin or opioids, then they need to get it directly into the bloodstream. So they basically condemn, they subdue and say, hey, you know what? I give up. I'm going to start shooting. And what we found through research, through conducting investigations, through interviewing people that are addicted to heroin, going to that needle is typically a point of no return. There are people that recover and they go through various stages of treatment that's out there. You can overcome it, but it is extremely difficult, especially with people that start shooting heroin through a needle. So even in the 60s, people still, they shot heroin with needles. There were some overdoses, but there were nowhere near the number of deaths that we see now. The problem is around 2013, a synthetic opioid called fentanyl was introduced into heroin. Fentanyl is typically made overseas. A lot of it is produced in China. It's a white powdery substance. It is considered what we call a Schedule II drug, which means it does have some medicinal purposes. So sometimes people have surgery to control pain. They are given most people probably heard of fentanyl patch. Sometimes it's given in other means, but it's used to treat pain, severe pain, because it's way more potent than morphine. But somebody decided that, you know what, we can make a big profit by going to China, having fentanyl mixed in with our heroin, and then we sell our heroin with the mixture of fentanyl. The issue with that is because fentanyl is so much more potent that people that would typically shoot the same amount of heroin, because they've shot the same amount of heroin for years, well now when it contains fentanyl, that fentanyl, the potency of the fentanyl, your body cannot handle it. So what happens, you go into cardiac arrest, your respiration is practically nil, and basically you drop. And if you do not get the reversing drug that's called Narcan, if someone doesn't administer that drug Narcan to you, you're going to die. Your heart rate, your breathing is going to slow down and stop, basically. And if you don't get something to reverse those effects, you're going to die. And that is why we've seen such a tremendous increase in the amount of deaths from this particular drug and heroin/opioids. Now, a lot of times we're seeing that the heroin and the fentanyl is mixed together. Now we're starting to see a trend towards more fentanyl than actual heroin. And addicts don't know this. When people are going to their local drug dealer, they are in a back room somewhere that somebody's actually putting a government stamp on it, says, hey, this has no fentanyl, this has a little bit of fentanyl, it's no quality control. So you don't know what you're getting. And that's a huge factor in leading towards people overdosing without they don't understand why. Now, I bring this up to this particular audience because what we also are seeing is the age group 18 to about 40 seems to be disproportionately affected by this current epidemic, meaning that that is the age group in which we're seeing the vast majority of our deaths. And a lot of it comes from, and it's not just, people, they dropped out of school and they've been troublemakers all their life. That's not necessarily the case. Now what we're seeing is people that have been great in school, been doing all the right things. All of a sudden, a couple instances where we've seen people, they have an injury, sports injury, bad knee, back, get into a car accident. And they start off with the pills because the pills are prescribed to them and they want to do something to control the pain. So they go with legitimate purposes, they don't have any bad intentions, and all of a sudden now, these pills and the way these opioids, the way they work on your mind, the science behind the way opioids work on your mind, you can't, next thing you know, you can't control what your addiction is. So I say that because of your age group. you guys are prime for that, especially for all you guys that are going to be going out here. You're already on your own. You're here in college. You're already on your own. But going out here in the world, you're going to be challenged by certain things. And what you got to realize is that there are things out there, in particular these opioids, that can significantly reduce your ability to be a productive member of society. Just by coming into this room today shows me that you have the initiative, you have the thought process of wanting to be a productive member of society. But if you go down the wrong path, especially with these opioids and this heroin, all of the things that you worked for to get you to where you are today, they can very easily be taken away and you can never recover. Not only can you not recover to reach your full potential, but the opportunity may be that you be one of those 62,000 folks that died in 2016, another 40-some thousand in 2017 so far from the statistics. So that's what we don't want to see. That's my main reason for really coming here today, to have this conversation with you, because I don't want to see any of you guys experience what we've seen, the devastation that this drug can cause. So I won't take up any more of you guys' time. What I would like, though, is if the opportunity presents, if you guys have the time, if you have any questions for me, something that you want to know, I hope I can answer it. If not, give me some contact information and I'll get the answer for you.
Let's do 5 minutes for questions.
Hi, Sarah Williams. I have 3 questions. So, considering that you are working with the DEA and you guys probably do come across people who are suffering from, say, heroin overdoses or whatnot, are you guys working with like a rehabilitation group to like help these people get the help that they deserve and need?
Yes. Here in Hampton Roads and across the country is different. There are different variations, but I'll give you an example of what we do here in Hampton Roads. We are part of what's called the Hampton Roads Heroin Working Group. And what that entails is it entails law enforcement, it entails people from the judicial system, but it also entails people from mental health and the school and basically parents, citizens. So those 4 components work together trying to find solutions for people that are addicted. And you're tackling it from many different perspectives. It's not easy because one of the key things is funding. There are not enough beds to go around for all the addicts. But that model that we use here, it's been copied all across the country in different variations. So yes, we are trying to do something about helping people with addiction.
And then second, is there currently like a meth epidemic going on in the Midwest?
Methamphetamine has been around, another drug has been around for a long time. Meth is not strictly in the Midwest. A lot of cases that we do see, a lot of the bulk is in the Midwest and also on the West Coast. But we see plenty of methamphetamine right here in our Norfolk area as well too.
And then my last question was there a focus of like all the people who are suffering from heroin? Like, was there a focus area, or was that once again just all across the nation?
Correct, all across the nation. That's what makes the problem so difficult. It's not just one pocket. It's not just one socioeconomic group. It's not one race. It's not one age group. Because it covers such a wide spectrum. That's what makes it such a difficult problem to get a handle on.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, I'm going to start here and then I'll walk around, okay? Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mom? Good up. I just had a question about what type of degrees GAs typically seek out for college students to graduate?
There is no requirement to have a criminal justice degree or political science, but the DA does want you to have a degree. There are instances where we have people that have a certain background experience where they don't have a degree. It's rare, but typically they're going to want you to have a 4-year degree. But really, we look for people that kind of have diverse backgrounds. We have people with nursing, business, accounting, all kinds of, somebody was in in my class, I think they had some type of a mechanical engineering degree or something. So there's a wide variety. society, the main thing is just to have it, because it's competitive to get in. It's very competitive. So to kind of keep your application from going over in this pile over here, you want to make sure that you have that degree.
Right, thank you.
Is it another gentleman over? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Alexander Evans. So basically, is there like a certain indicator to tell if someone was on the drug, and then how will we try and stop it, or like try and like keep the campus kind of safe, so like it wouldn't.
So different drugs affect your bodies differently. So let's talk about heroin and opioids. They basically, like I say, they were designed for pain, to help people tolerate pain. Okay, the legitimate opioids. And heroin is a natural opioid. It comes from the poppy plant. It has the same properties that your synthetic opioids, like oxycodone and hydrocodones. Those are synthetic opioids that are used. So it works the same way. It has the same similar properties. Now, so typically with the opioids, what you're going to see is a depression in your ability to function. So you're going to see your pupils are going to become constricted. It means they're going to shrink down. That's one of the telltale signs right there of somebody on opioids. But usually they're going to be sluggish. And now, a lot of people, if they can kind of manage their dosage, then they can still function. They can be around you, they can function, but you're going to see them their energy is going to be low if they're trying to function. You're going to see them probably trying to have some type of energy drink or something to try to keep them going, because that's what the heroin does. It just slows everything down for you. And that's where you get in trouble. That's where the death comes from. Everything slows down to the point that you stop breathing, your heart stops, and you die. So that's when you're seeing somebody kind of lethargic, you're seeing kind of sleepy, drowsy, that's something to be concerned about. And the danger also too with the fentanyl mixed in with the heroin, it takes only a couple, if you took a pack of sugar and you took just toward the corner of it, you dropped 2 or 3 granules on the table. Well, if that was fentanyl, those same 2 or 3 granules, you could touch those, get absorbed through your skin, and you could go into cardiac arrest immediately. Why? Because your body, you're not used to having opioids in your body. So those 2 or 3 granules could be enough to kill you. So that's what makes the drug that much more deadly and dangerous.
And then like how would we like stop it? Not like stop it, but like I guess slow it down in a way.
Well, the big thing is awareness. Mm-hmm. You gotta kind of be out there and let people know to be aware that this stuff is dangerous, very dangerous, and has the potential for death. That to me is the key, to make people aware of what's going on with the drug. Listen, this campus is probably no different than any other campus. There's going to be a certain amount of drugs that I think are going to be on every campus. But the main thing is, if you're having good, solid, intellectual conversations, and when you're trying to talk about these matters and talk about the pitfalls and the deadly consequences, I think that's going to be the first step to try to make the campus safe and those around you safe too. Because there's going to be some people you're going to encounter that may be inclined to try heroin, coke, whatever drug they choose, methamphetamine, whatever the drug may be. You always want to have a conversation to talk about those potential pitfalls. And the biggest pitfall is addiction. Yes.
Hi, Senator Soho. So you had talked about how there is a heroin epidemic nationally in our country. Have you noticed that that it's also been specifically targeting college campuses, or is it just as a whole?
No, this is as a whole. We really don't know. We don't have any definitive research that says there's a specific issue with college campuses. I've not seen any research that indicates that at all. But hey, the college campus is just like any other community that we see across the country. So, like I said, with that wide spectrum, then you got to keep that in mind, and you got to realize that the college campus is a part of all these communities across the country, and this epidemic is all across the country. So that's why you need to be aware, and also the age group. that 18 to 35, most people in the room are probably, I would assume, in that, except for me, I'm not in that age group, but most people, on the college campus, they're going to be in that 18 to 35-ish category. So.
Okay, and in connection with that, are there certain drugs that you would say we should be aware of because we are on a college campus?
Well, I mean, the reality is marijuana is still a very popular drug, and it's a controversial drug, of course, because there are certain states that allow recreational use of marijuana. There are certain states that allow medicinal purpose marijuana, but for the federal government, marijuana is illegal. It's what's called a Schedule I drug, which means that it's scheduled higher than heroin. But that's because at this point, the federal government does not see the medicinal purposes, and it does not recognize it recognizes it has a high ability for addiction as well. But that's one of your key ones. It's been proven time and time again that marijuana is a gateway drug. And a lot of times what happens is people, they don't get that same feeling from the same amount of marijuana, so they decide, hey, let me try a different, more harder drug. And that's where problems can start, for sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Firstly, thank you for your time today. Taking time, I'm sure you have busy schedules, to come speak to us. Her question actually falls back into what I was going to ask about. So given that marijuana is a Schedule I drug, as you mentioned, listed in the same category as heroin and various other opioid drugs, you also brought up the fact that you are the enforcement agency of the U.S. Attorney General's office. Given the more prominent controversies that we know that the U.S. Attorney General, when it comes to marijuana, he has a history of not, how do I say this in a nice way, not liking users of marijuana. Do you use any discretionary tools when deciding whether to enforce the laws behind marijuana? Again, given that it's Schedule I in the same category as heroin and various other opioid drugs.
Well, for us being a federal agency, like I said, our ultimate boss is the Attorney General of the United States. But for us, it's very simple. The way that the type of investigations that we work, the type of targets that we pursue, unless they rise up to a certain level, to be honest with you, we don't have the time. We have so many other things to do. We don't have the time to work to focus on just a small level marijuana trafficker or marijuana dealer or marijuana possessor. That's not what our mandate is. That's not, realistically, we just don't have the time to pursue someone that decides to smoke, like I said, a marijuana cigarette or walks around with a marijuana cigarette in their pocket. Could that be part of a large investigation? Absolutely. Could that lead to international, national coordinated effort targeting marijuana traffickers? Absolutely. But on a day-to-day basis, it's not our mandate, and we don't have the time to basically to deal with people in simple possession of marijuana. That's more, we see that more as a matter to be handled by our local partners.
So you guys don't enforce it as much as you would other drugs. Am I correct in that assumption?
I think we enforce it when it's appropriate, and we enforce it when the opportunity to make significant investigations. That's when we enforce it. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next order of business today. Old business, Senate Bill 22, the Reserve Fund bylaws. Can the chief sponsor of this bill please come forward?
I yield the floor to Director Hack.
Hey everyone, does anyone have any questions about the Reserve Fund bill?
No questions for the chief sponsor? Thank you. That was easy. All right, no questions for the chief sponsor. Is there a motion on the floor at this time? Perhaps to enter voting procedure. Yes.
A motion to enter voting procedure.
There's a motion on the floor to enter voting procedure. Is there a second? Any opposition? With no opposition, we are now in voting procedure. All in favor of passing this piece of legislation, please raise your hand. Keep in mind. 1, 2. Okay, all opposed? Any abstains? With 5 abstains, 0 nays, and 16 yeas, this bill clearly passes. Okay, the next order of business is the Resolution 14, the Commuter Student Lounge. Will the chief sponsor of this bill please come forward? Thank you.
I yield the floor to Director Cunningham.
Why are you clapping? Well, are there any questions, guys? Like, it's the Commuter Student Lounge bill. Any at all? Yes, no, maybe so. Is that a hand raise? Okay. Yeah, what's up?
So I think this is great, firstly. So thank you for your work on this, Courtney. So I was wondering, since we do have a very large population of commuter students, is there a way that we can, maybe our committee off campus, we can plan sort of like an open-in, just to let them know that the space exists. Just some kind of open. We provide food just to meet different commuter students and, and let them know that the space will be available to them.
Yeah, so, well, the lounge is supposed to open in April, but due to whatever happened, it's not opening in April. So the stuff is going to get moved in really soon because I'm going to still be working on it and continue to work over it over the summer. But in the fall, it'll have its like grand opening. I really want a ribbon cutting because I'm an advocate for one all year. So Malik is actually the next director, so I will pass that along to him, and hopefully he will be in agreement because who doesn't love food? And like pull in some commuter students, let them know to occupy the lounge in the space.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have any pictures of what the room's supposed to look like?
Yeah, Anessa, could you pull it up for me? Okay, so this is just like a diagram of what's in the room that I made up. Could you go to the next slide? So on the wall, if you're looking at it, like walking into the lounge, on the wall to the right are going to be paper wall organizers. So offices can come in and put in information about different things that they have. So like transportation and parking, C's, anybody else so that students can grab. Because a lot of times commuter students usually hang out in the library and they aren't aware of everything else that's going on. So it just kind of gives them that that flow of communication between everything else going on in the university. Scroll down. I really like beanbag chairs. I have one, and they're like really comfortable. So we're gonna have beanbag chairs in there, so students can like sit down and just be comfortable and relax. They're great for like sleeping too. Keep going. Refrigerator, because who doesn't like food? When you are a commuter student, most of the time you're not eating in the web center. You're bringing your lunch, and so the refrigerator is for them to store their stuff in the refrigerator as well. Keep going. Microwave, because you gotta warm up those lean cuisines and those hot pockets and everything else that you have. And then that's a blank page because we're working on it. It's getting customized. And then bar stools. When you're walking in on the left-hand side, y'all been in the library where they have like the bar with the plug-in and you can sit. So that's what we're gonna have, something similar to that. And then those are the bar stools. And then cubbies, that's gonna be under the TV. That's gonna be on the wall. When it's all complete, I'll make sure that Malik shows a picture for next year for Senate, because your girl won't be here. But I will have a full-framed, beautiful view for you guys to all see next session. Those are just prices and stuff. Yes.
My question is, I saw about the refrigerator you said is for people to store food. Mm-hmm. So how would we keep up with making sure people's stuff didn't get stolen?
Yes. So that has been one of my responsibilities to kind of navigate different things. I've learned that a lot of students have food insecurities, meaning that they cannot afford to buy food. And so in the next office next door, there's going to be a food pantry. And there is for students to come in and grab food. So it's in the off-campus student lounge, off-campus student life office, if you want to go in and grab food. But every week we're going to be cleaning it out, and so your name is going to have to be on it when you put your food in the refrigerator. And every week, if it doesn't have your name on it or a date or anything like that, it will get thrown out at the end of the week. Yes.
Who will be in charge of keeping up with keeping the refrigerator and the microwave clean?
So most likely, I will be collaborating with housekeeping to make sure that gets done. But it's also going to be like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like responsibility type thing, like how we're in the office and you clean up your own stuff, whatever you put in there. And we're all like grown adults, so I assume that everybody knows how to do that. So it's going to be that thing. And then every week, like I'm going to see if housekeeping can come in there and clean out the refrigerator and clean out the microwave as well. But I will have like little cleaning supplies, like the Lysol wipes and the spray that I forgot the name of it that you use as well.
Just to remind you guys, this is a resolution, so by voting on this, we're saying that yes, we want this. So a lot of these questions are very like specific, and if you more of those, I invite you to join Courtney's committee. But this is just yes, we want this. No, we don't want this. Okay. If there's any more questions, sorry.
No.
All right.
Okay, because there are no further questions, is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Williams.
I motion to enter voting procedure.
There's a motion on the floor to enter voting procedure. Is there a second? Any opposition? No opposition. We are now in voting procedure. All in favor of passing this bill, please raise your hand. Okay, all opposed? Any abstains? Okay, so 2 abstains and 21 yeas and 0 nays. This bill clearly passes. Okay, the next order of business is new business, contingency 13, the Unite Norfolk contingency. Will the chief sponsor this bill and the org please come up?
Good afternoon, everybody. The Ignite Norfolk, they're requesting a contingency to go on their Monarchs in the Making event in Jamestown and Williamsburg, which will be April 13th. They're requesting $332.58 for catering, $1,000 for transportation, $529.40 for apparel, and $34.93 for supplies, which in total equals $1,896.91. And the Finance Committee plans to allocate the full $1,896.91. And at this time, I will yield the floor to the representative.
Oh, you just wanted to talk out loud? Oh, no, I didn't know if anyone could hear me, sorry. Hello, I'm Kayla Winder, I'm the outreach coordinator for Ignite Norfolk. Just to give you a little insight on what we're trying to do, we mentor the kids at Park Place School, which is an underserviced school for kids who really didn't get enough attention in the public school system. It is a free private school, so the school itself is providing kind of some better access for those kids. But we go in every Friday and we mentor the kids and we kind of try to touch their lives as much as we can. They come from different home lives and things like that. So the purpose of our field trip is to really kind of provide them a different kind of fun experience, give our volunteers a way to really experience the change that they could be making in these kids' lives and provide the kids a really fun day out in colonial Jamestown.
So I'm a volunteer leader at Park Place and with Ignite, and just want to say, like, this event, for you guys to approve it, this will be the first time that these kids have ever gone on a field trip, and may be the only time they've ever will be able to go on a field trip. So this is a big deal that our ODU students can help incorporate the community as well. And we've been going there every Friday, as she said, for the whole year. And we've really seen a change in our students as they come weekly, and the kids, and how much better they know that college is an option now. So this is a big deal for them. It's approved.
Are there any questions?
No questions for the org or the chief sponsor at this time? No. Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay, with no questions for the chief sponsor or the org, is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Hahn.
Actually, point of inquiry.
Sure.
How much money do we have left in our contingency fund?
Okay, so we have $10,551.23.
10,500. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more questions or motions on the floor? Yes.
Motion on the floor to ending voter procedures.
There's a motion for entering voting procedure. Is there a second? Any opposition? Okay, we are now in voting procedure. All in favor in passing this contingency, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstains? Okay, so with 21 yeas, 0 nays, and 3 abstains, this bill clearly passes. The next order of business is contingency 15, the Phi Sigma Rho contingency. Chief sponsor this bill and the board, please come up.
All right. Pi Sigma Rho is requesting a contingency to attend a conference at Purdue University, which is July 20th to July 22nd. They plan to take 2 students, and they are requesting $180 for registration, $350 for transportation, and $60 for supplies, which totals $1,120. And the Finance Committee plans to allocate the full $1,120. And at this time, I will yield the floor to the representative.
Hi, my name is Katie Strader. I'm the secretary at Phi Sigma Rho. And we're required to send 2 delegates to this conference. And at this conference, the delegates will learn various skills such as leadership, workplace skills, networking, recruitment, personal finance, so that they can come back and teach the entire organization how to further our organization, I guess. And we are requesting funding for transportation, registration, and supplies. So it's a big deal. This is the first time that we're able to go, so we couldn't request funding in the past. So sorry.
Are there any questions?
Are you guys flying?
Yes. Yes, that'd be
Fine. Okay.
Okay, are there any more questions for the chief sponsor or the org at this time? No? Thank you, guys. Okay, with no further questions for the chief sponsor or the org, is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Holme.
I motion to enter voting procedure.
There's a motion on the floor to enter voting procedure. Is there a second? Any opposition? No opposition. We are now in voting procedure. All in favor of passing this contingency, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstains? Okay, with 17 yeas, 0 nays, and 16 abstains, this bill clearly passes. Okay, the next order of business is the strike 16. So resolution 15, the microwaves in Perry Library. Will the chief sponsor of this bill please come forward? Right there, yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good. Okay, so with the help of Stephen and Isaiah, we drafted up a resolution to get 2 microwaves on the first floor of the Perry Library. They will be located where the coffee condiment station is. Also, we contacted the janitorial staff of the library, and they have agreed to take care of cleaning that, and that will be cleaned daily. Also, I conducted a Twitter poll on the ODU SGA page, and we got 100 votes, and 86 out of those 100 votes said that they would definitely like to see a microwave in Perry Library, and we also got a bunch of quote tweets saying that a lot of people were excited to have that. And the microwaves will be bearing no cost on SGA because we will be getting both of them donated. Are there any questions?
And is there any way that instead of having both microwaves at Einstein's, because I imagine that it's going to get very crowded with like a lot of people trying to warm up because they're both in the same physical location. Is there any way that one can be like somewhere else in the library?
So originally I had wanted to have like 2 downstairs on the first floor and then 2 on the second floor. However, as most of you know, the Learning Commons on the first floor is the only spot that's open after midnight anyway. So that would only be like accessible at a limited hour. And mostly I wanted the microwaves to be there so we would have an option for when we're at the library late night and Einstein's is no longer open, or if you bring your own food at any time, you could still have the opportunity to use that. Any other questions?
Any further questions for the chief sponsor? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so if no further questions for the chief sponsor, is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Williams.
I motion to fast track this bill.
Okay. You can do what you want. I mean, yeah, you can do what you want. It's a little rash to me, but you do what you want.
So, point of inquiry, could you explain if I was to fast track this bill, or what would you do, or what would the body like to do?
So your options here pretty much are to either amend it, fast track it, or move it to second reading status. So if you're amending it, that means there's something in here you don't like and you want to change, or like grammar or whatever. If you're going to fast track it, that means that we're going to have to enter a special session after this to vote on it, and then it'll be done with today. Or if we move it to second reading status, that means that it's on the floor next week. So that
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I had encouraged to fast track it because, as we all know, finals are coming up. So I was hoping to get the microwaves in there as soon as possible because it's definitely like the busiest time for the library. So we would have access to that. And that's also especially when everybody is there after hours when Einstein's is no longer open.
Okay.
So keep that in mind.
Senator Williams, do you have a motion now?
Yes, I would like to enter a 3-minute debate. Is that the lowest? Yes. Okay, I'd like to enter a 3-minute debate. So firstly, I just wanted to get from the...
So, slow down, sit down for a second. 3-minute debate. Yes. Motion on the floor to enter a 3-minute debate. Is there a second? Any opposition? Okay, Miss Pro Tempore, can you please keep time? Jeff, you have the floor.
Well, excuse me, but I was just wondering from the body, what would you guys think if fast tracking this, considering the fact that she did mention that finals are coming up and that would be very beneficial for our students to be in a library late hours. What do you guys think?
If you're gonna fast track it, do you have the microwaves already like made available? Like, have they already been donated for you?
No, not currently, but the process to get them donated is pretty quick, and I could definitely get if we were able to get it like fast tracked and approved today, then I could honestly get them donated by the end of the week, and then hopefully have that put into effect next week, hopefully.
Director Lucas.
Do you know who's donating the microwaves?
Yeah, I had discussed it with Steven, and you know how a lot of when students are moving out, we get a lot of appliances donated because they no longer need them. So we were just gonna get 2 microwaves from that, so it would bear no cost to anyone, and they're already in perfect working condition.
Yes, Dr. Cunningham.
Okay, so if you're gonna get them donated, like when students move out, is it move out after finals, or did I like miss something?
It is after finals, but we do get stuff donated before move out as well, and it is 2 microwaves. And like, you know, at move out, you end up having like 100 of them, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and also, I had discussed with Steven, there are times when the actual school like gets rid of appliances and they're still like in working condition. So there's like many different like routes we could go with getting 2 microwaves donated.
Senator Cherry.
Well, obviously we still have a few things to work out, so I say we should move this to second reading status, come back next week, and hopefully everything is resolved. And it's still, next week is the 17th, so it's still before finals, and we'll still have plenty of time to do everything. So that would be my.
Okay, if we were to move this to second reading status, what additional information would you guys need? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like what additional information would you guys like for me to provide you? Because like right now, you know,
I would say, just from a standpoint of hearing everyone's opinions, that you would have to have the microwaves in hand, and then next week, if you have them in hand, they got voted yes, you put them in the library. That would be my suggestion. Mr. Vice President-elect.
Just to let you know, time's up, but you can continue.
Yeah, you finish your comment.
Okay, so I think we're a little bit confused on what a resolution actually is. It's just affirming that the student body wants it. So granted that we don't approve it, or it gets moved to second reading status, fast track, whatever that may be, the microwaves can still come or still not come. This is just saying that the student body wants it. So when you're looking at a resolution, you need to look at, did the student body want it? Then student government, the U.S. senators support it, and then the counterparts will take it to administration and say, this is the stamp that the student body wants it. Just because the microwaves are not here, just because we don't know where they're coming from yet, whether they're coming from here or there, that's not the issue. The issue was proper research conducted, and was it concluded that the student body wants it? My personal opinion, it does. I also don't vote, that's on y'all, but just think about that, because all of the specifics do not always have to be done.
86% of them said they did.
Wait a minute, Okay. Are there any more questions on the floor at this time? Also, I see a cell phone, so if it's out, I'm not going to point you out, but put it away. Okay, so if no further questions, is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Terry.
Motion to move this resolution to second reading status.
There's a motion on the floor to move this bill to second reading status. Is there a second? Is there any opposition to moving this to second reading status? Okay, with opposition, we do have to take a rising hand vote. So all in favor of moving this to second reading status, please raise your hand for me. Okay, that's 3. All opposed? Any abstains? Okay, so with 3 yeas, 18 nays, and 4 abstains, this bill is not going to be moved to second reading status. Is there another motion on the floor at this time? Yes.
I motion to fast track this bill.
There's a motion on the floor to fast track this bill. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? No opposition. This bill has been fast tracked. Okay, the next resolution on the floor is resolution 16. Will the chief sponsor of this bill please come forward for me? Yes.
Class.
Oh, sorry. If you have a 420 class, you may leave. This is my first. Alright guys, we are at quorum now, like at quorum, so nobody else can leave. Everybody get out. Alright, guys, bill on the floor, everybody sit down. Shh.
Okay. So, this is a bill that Stephen was working on before I joined the committee. He decided to hand it over to me. So, I'm sure many of you have been on the quad and noticed that right between Scotland and Ireland, there's the sidewalk where, if you're coming from Scotland, you would go up and then go to your right to go to the web. And then there's just a dirt path that everyone takes because they feel like it's a shortcut. So he had the idea that we should pave it, a concrete path. This is just a resolution, so keep in mind that the student body did want this. I do not have the survey results because he said that they were done last year. So I don't know what he did with them. But it has been shown that the student body does want this to happen. The blue and white in it is not. He said he's still working with the administration on it. It doesn't necessarily have to be blue and white. It's just a suggestion for if it does, when it gets paved, that could just be an idea. Does anybody have any questions? Xander?
Motion to make a friendly amendment to take out the second.
Not yet, questions?
Oh,
Questions? More questions?
You said surveys were done last year. Were any done this year?
No, when he handed it over to me, he was just saying that this is what people did want. I did not ask him. He was just basically like, here you go. So I was like, okay. But no, he didn't say, because I asked him for them. He said they were done last year. So I don't know. He didn't provide me with like a link to them or anything.
Is there any way to obtain the surveys from last year, or maybe?
I asked him about it. He didn't have his committee meeting today, so as far as that goes, I haven't been able to talk with him. I did ask him about it. He just said they were done last year. Got any other questions? What's one of my comments?
Any idea how long the concrete path would take to finish building?
He did not tell me. I asked him about everything else about it. He's just saying that he's still working with the administration on it. It's just that the student body would like it, so.
Okay, also, second question, any costs that's affiliated with making the concrete path?
Not that I've been notified of. It's just.
Did Director Greiling tell you anything about the concrete path that he's proposing?
Actually, he wasn't very specific when he gave it to me. It was just that, this is something that we've been working on. Do you want to type it up? But he looked over it. He didn't give me any of the specific information. So it's kind of vague, but he's just saying that the students do want this. Jeff.
Is there any way you can conduct some, maybe fresh research to maybe hear about?
I can, yeah. That's definitely possible. Something that's possible. I just don't know how long he's been working on this. So, but yeah, I can definitely. Okay. There was another name.
Wait, do you have a point of information?
Yeah. Point of information.
I've talked to Steven about this, and multiple students have come up. I think the dirt path can be a subject to statistics and data as well. Just to throw that out there, it's a path that students walk on, all the time. So, just think about that as well. So, and I did. Can I ask another question? When I had talked to him about it, he had already discussed it with the people on the grounds because I had asked him about if we could do this, and he said that he was working on. He's been having meetings with them and also having something to say like SGA in the ground as well. So if this does occur. Are there any other questions?
Any further questions to the chief sponsor at this time? No. Okay, with no further questions, is there a motion on the floor? Yes, Senator Hall.
I make a motion to table this bill for 2 weeks, just so Sean can get the.
Okay, so next week's the last meeting of the session.
Okay.
So you could table it to the next session, but I don't recommend that.
Yeah, I make a motion to table it for 2 weeks, just so you can get the information needed, because it seems like.
There's not a 2 weeks. You can't, like at this point, we really can't table anything.
Table it to the next session.
Next session? Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to table this till the next session, which is going to be like the last week in August, I guess is when the first meeting is going to be. So there's a motion on the floor to table this until August. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Okay, with opposition, we have to take a rising hand vote. So all opposed to tabling this, please raise your hand. Yeah, all opposed. I'm doing opposed first. Okay, all in favor of passing this? Any abstentions? Okay, so with 0 yays, 12 nays, and 14 abstains, this motion dies. Any more motions on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Terry.
Motion to make a friendly amendment to line 8. I don't know if what the proper term would be, but regrassing.
I think it doesn't have like a hyphen.
Is there a hyphen in there?
Yes,
there is. Yeah.
Yes, there's a motion on the floor
Hyphen
to.
line 8. Motion.
There's a motion on the floor to add a hyphen in line 8 in the word regressing. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? With no opposition, Ms. Chief Staff, can you please make that present? Are there any more motions on the floor at this time? Yes, sir.
Motion on the floor to approve the friendly amendment to second and final amendment.
There's a motion on the floor to make a friendly amendment to remove the second "the" in line 11. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? No. Is that opposition, I see, Brian? Okay. With no opposition, Ms. Chief Staff, can you please make that present? Any more motions on the floor? Yes, Senator Terry.
Motion to make a friendly amendment to change the title. Something like shorter, like path paving resolution or something. Something like that.
We need to come up with a title for me before I can.
Motion to make a friendly amendment to add the title to path paving resolution.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to change the title of the resolution to the path paving resolution. Is there a second? There's no second, so this motion also dies. That's crazy. Is there another motion on the floor at this time? Yes, there's a
Motion to change the title of paving the Scotland-Ireland path.
There's a motion on the floor to change the title of saying paving the Scotland-Ireland path. Is there a second? Okay, is there any opposition? Because there's opposition, we're going to have to take a rising hand vote. All in favor of changing it to the Scotland-Ireland paving. That's all you said. What did you say?
Scotland-Ireland path.
All in favor to change the title to that, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? 2. Okay, any abstains? Okay, so people aren't voting on this.
Point of inquiry?
Yes.
To my understanding, does the title have to literally be as detailed? Like, can it just? It does not. Okay.
But there was a motion made, so we do have to vote on it. Okay, so with 4 yays, 2 nays, and 11 abstains, that title clearly dies. Okay, are there any more motions on the floor at this time? Guys, really changing the title is dilatory. And if you want to do something like that, let's enter a debate so we can talk about it before you vote on anything else. Okay, Senator Williams?
I motion to enter second reading status on the grounds that there is not a lot of concise information. It's a lot of confusion. So can we just table it to next week or move it to second reading status since next week is our last meeting, and they can take care of whatever information over this next week.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to move this bill to second reading status on the grounds that next week's the last meeting and there's some confusion still. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? Moving to second reading status.
Okay.
Do you have opposition to moving to second reading status?
Yes.
May I ask on what grounds?
It's only, like with Taj's, it's only a resolution. So basically saying that the students want this, even if surveys were done, I doubt that opinions would change considering it's just a dirt path being paved. So I don't think that, people would say no to that.
That's what we're moving it forward.
Point of information, I have a question. So, inquiry. Sorry. So, if they do vote yes on this, could we potentially start the process of this next session, or is that if we pass it this session, do we have to do it this session?
I think we've done it anytime.
It can be done anytime, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's the discretion of the committee. Okay, so we kind of broke this up. Let's do this again. So is there a second to moving this to second reading status? Yes. Is there opposition?
Can I ask a question?
Okay, so with opposition, we will have to take a rising hand vote. All in favor of moving this to second reading status, please raise your hand. All opposed to moving this to second reading status? Okay, any abstains? Okay, so with 14 nays, 1 nay, and 2 abstains, this bill is now in second reading status. All right, the next order of business is the executive board reports. James, I believe you're first.
Hey guys, so
Hi, James.
What did they so we have the interview banquet this Friday, so it's gonna be formal. So a suit, a tie, all that good stuff. I was supposed to have papers so you guys could do superlatives here, but I just created a Google Doc, and so check your emails and do that really quickly, before Thursday. So preferably now, if that was cool. Yeah. So see y'all. Yeah.
What time and where is it?
Oh yeah. Okay. So this.
Sorry, my first time. So.
Gotcha. The time is 6 o'clock in the big blue room in the TED on 43rd Street by the La H. And yeah, so see y'all Friday. Have a great day.
Mo, do you report this week?
yes, So, one thing I want to remind you guys, especially the last date for payment requests is April 23rd. So if you guys do have events, let's say coming up in May or June or July, the last date to submit those payment requests would be April 23rd. Also next week, next time I'm going to have a report is going to be our final budget report, and this is going to entail all the spending that we have done up to this point. And also, so a couple of events are going to be coming up as we have the banquet this Friday, and then we have SGA Day next week, and I think off campus, when is that? Courtney? Off campus fair? Today. Yeah, and exam day, right. So please go out to those and help out and support. Thank you.
Haley, do you report this week? Okay.
Yeah,
all right, let's start with the reference rules fun fact of the week.
Oh, actually, I do.
You do a report. Let me go back on Haley Live. It's a great picture of me.
I should have the Associate Justice's application open up next week, hopefully. Knock on wood. So if you're interested in that, you can just reach out to me, and I should be posting it so you guys can find it there.
Okay, so Robert's most fun fact of the week. Who's excited? Guys, this is the last fun fact of the week.
Yes!
That's so fast.
Yeah. Okay, you guys ready? All right, so a motion to take an informal straw poll to test the water is not in order because it neither adopts nor rejects a measure and is hence meaningless and dilatory. So if you guys are like, oh, like, let's just see before we vote on this, how are we feeling? You can't do that. Because it's stupid. Okay. Sorry I wasn't here last week, guys. I injured myself. And thank you to Jawan for taking over for me. Center of the month. That's the next thing. Okay. So this individual always puts a smile on my face. I know their positive attitude always keeps everybody else going, and I really appreciate that. And they just put in a lot of hard work. They're one of the newer senators we've had this semester. So everybody please clap your hands for Mr. Jeff Williams.
Hey, my boy's swimming. My son.
Hey, she beat the gavel. Shut up.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, this is my last meeting because Tarika's taking over next week for the last one of the session. So thank you guys so much for an awesome semester. I really enjoyed being your speaker. Yeah, okay, next report, please. I'm done. Joanne, your turn. Oh my god, thanks.
Hey, you guys, I'm sorry. This is gonna be a long one, but my name is Alyssa. I'm your new speaker pro tem for not Jawan. That's not my name. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news on the first report, but I saw nine of you guys on your phones today, like when it was the guest speaker or when contingencies are up here, and I just want us to all remember, like, this is a really important job, and it's disrespectful when we're on our phones, especially when there's a guest speaker in here and they're coming to us with information that's really important. So please, guys, do not be on your phones because I'm going to start getting really strict. I didn't want to be strict on the first day, but I had to literally tell some people to put their phones away because it was getting 9 people. That's a little ridiculous. So please, guys, just don't be on your phones anymore. But thanks. That's
Nelson, do you have a report this week?
The birthday social is on the 17th, which is also our last Senate. So those we have after, it's in the Norfolk room. We have the rooms before the 6th. So try to get out of here as fast as possible and get over there so we can have a lot of fun.
Next, Secretary Battle, do you report this week?
I don't have a report this week.
Secretary Lucas, do you report this week?
No report.
No report? Awesome. Wow. Guys, let's be respectful and keep the voices down because this is still part of business. Thank you.
Okay. Hey guys. Budget review weekend was very productive. We completed almost all the budgets. There's like 1 or 2 left, and their associated explanation emails. I am so proud of everything my team has accomplished during those 2 days. So thank you so much to Dr. P, Isaiah, Jordan, Rose, Preston, Ms. Kiger, Juwan, Did I say Kyron? Kyron, Kyle, and Kelvin and Ron, thank you so much for all your time and your help during that weekend. We're just waiting on points and standards. So as soon as that's done, we will be able to create the final budget allocation bill and presentation and be able to send it to Senate. So hopefully that will be on the floor next week. And not counting the contingency that were passed today, SGA currently has $10,551.23 left in the contingency pot. Does anyone have any questions? $10,551.23.
Did you subtract it from the $1,000 that we? I'm sorry.
Yeah. But if we did, it would be about 7,500. Yeah. That's a lot of money, but does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Director Hyde.
Anybody from the Legislative Affairs and Diversity Committee have a report for Jamila? No. No. Do you?
Is it a mind selected to serve that?
She do have an event next Wednesday. Do you guys know the time? I remember.
It's 5 to 7.
Yeah, so if you guys want to come out and support her.
Global Monarch Experience.
It's in the quad, on the field. What is it? Go.
Should I tell them what it is? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, you might as well just.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. Y'all know me. I am now the new Director of Legislative Affairs and Diversity. But Jamila is hosting an event called the Global Monarch Experience. It will be held on next Wednesday from 4 to 7. And what it is an event for basically different diverse organizations to come out and showcase who they are and what they do. WEPA will be performing, and there will be Latin dance, Latin food, things of that nature. There will also be, I believe there's another organization. So there will be different types of foods, different ethnic foods like Indian food and Latin food, I believe Asian food as well. But yeah, it's definitely just kind of like a, not necessarily a festival, but just an event for people to showcase just a little bit about their culture and their diverse background. So please come out. Y'all gonna see me dancing, so yeah. But yeah.
Dr. Cunningham, do you have a report this week?
Just the commuter pickup is next week, so if a commuter comes to the office, please say thank you for commuting to ODU.
Do you report this week? No? Okay. Director Monterey?
Yes, I do have a report. So I just would like to announce that Xander is going to be the next director of safety and transportation.
Yeah, so I'm going to be the next director for safety and transportation. I just want to say I'm very excited for what next semester has to hold for me. I'm going to be working with Michelle over the summer and different people over the summer, trying to get things prepared and set up for next semester so it won't be as hectic.
So thank you. Wait, I was done. That was my first announcement. Yeah, that's what I did.
All right. So last meeting we were talking about how pace the bikes were going to be set on campus, and they actually are on campus. I don't know if
anyone has seen them. Yeah.
All right.
So I actually went downtown last Friday to represent SGA and ODU. I actually got some. I don't know where Hannah went. We got some people to follow us from the city. So it's kind of cool that they're seeing what SGA is doing. And also I got to meet some important people. I think the vice mayor, and got to talk to them and support ODU downtown, which is pretty cool. So if you guys heard people talk about it, Pace is downtown in Norfolk as well. So So you can now bike. You can get anywhere downtown. You can bike to the light rail, lock your bike up, and get on the rail. Go downtown to like the movies or anything, and it'll cost you maybe $1. So yes.
I was gonna say, I've actually had some people that have tried the bikes out, and they said they're really good and really effective. Another cool thing about them is you could like literally park it anywhere, so there's not really a designated spot. So like as you walk around campus, you'll see like a whole bunch of bikes just literally parked randomly anywhere, and you can just, and it's Bluetooth too, which I didn't know. So that's pretty cool. So you don't really need to like carry any kind of lock or key on you. Just your phone, you can unlock it, take it right to class, keep it there, and then you can go about your day. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so all the bikes have GPS locators on them, so everybody pull out your phones now, if that's okay. Is that okay? Okay. Pull out your phones and download the Pace app. I'm going to give you some free money to put on it. You guys want to go ahead and do it? Yeah, so I need money. Yeah, so I got some coupon codes. You guys can share them. We give you about $15, so you guys can experience riding. Each ride, charger. Oh, alright. Yeah, it's called Pace. It's a blue little app.
Pace bike share.
Pace bike share.
With a blue P. Or white P, blue background.
It doesn't take very long. Just all you have to do is when you go through, download it. You put your name in, and then you'll be able to see a full like location. You'll be able to see like locate all the bikes and where you are. When you go ahead to like get a bike, look on the front of the bike. It has a 4-digit code on it, and you just type that in when you want to ride a bike. I did the Elizabeth Trail when I rode. It was really fun, and I used my codes. So I'm gonna give you guys the codes now.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
You have to click on button.
Yeah, so you click the blue button so after you download, you click the blue button, like to get a bike button at the bottom, and then you go through and you put your name in and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, at the bottom.
At the bottom.
Get a bike.
The get a bike, yeah. Yes, and you want to put your student email in there. Right now, I'm going to give you a code to get it 50% off every time you ride. But when you put that ODU code, we are working, so that way it'll just be 50% off. You won't have to type in the code for the 50% off. Yeah.
What's good?
Which is that? Y'all ready for the code?
Wait 1 second.
I'll give you like 1 or 2 more minutes.
We can also just put the code in the weekly email.
Okay, I'm gonna say it out loud too, just now. So the code is, you guys wanna write this down now? The first code is PACE, capital P, lowercase a, C-E, O-D-U.
All lowercase?
Capital O, capital D, capital U. What? Go over again. PACE, O-D-U, capital P, lowercase a, lowercase c, lowercase e, capital O, D, and U. Okay. That's to get you 50% off of all your rides. You can type in traffic, so all capitals, TRAFFIX. That'll get you $10 for free.
Did you say that's all capital?
All capitals, and it's TRAFFIX. Okay, and then I have another code. This will get you another $5, so $15 now. And that's gonna be all capitals, and it's gonna be ZRHWEGA. I'm gonna read it one more time. ZRHWEGA.
Thank you. All the codes.
Yep. And then there's one more code that will get you additional $5, so it's like $20. Just so you guys can now ride for all semester for free for next semester. It's gonna be PACE. Oh, I did PACE Norfolk. No. PACE Norfolk. So capital P A C E capital N-O-R-F-O-L-K.
Is Norfolk all capital or just the N?
Just the N in Norfolk. Yep. So not just the N. Yep. So you guys can put in those codes. Feel free to share them with your friends. So now you guys can no excuse not to ride. When you put in you don't have to put your card information right away because you now have $20. But when you do put your card information in, it will give you an additional $1.50, and that's from the company. So you guys have plenty of money now to ride, and no excuses not to. And we'll have this at our SGA day. We'll have the bikes out to promote them and the codes and stuff. So drop them in the group chats. Tell your friends. They can now ride for free and $20. It's pretty great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Senator Houghton.
So I've ridden the bikes quite often since they've been released on the 6th. One of the problems I'm running into is that I only ride, for example, from like the district area to the web. And I was telling Isaiah earlier, it is a flat rate. So something that you should consider is something like what Lyft and Uber does, where you get charged for distance and time. Because with the bikes, it's charging you a flat rate. You're going to charge that flat rate no matter how much. So it could be a 5-minute ride because it's like 30 minutes and it's $1. So as long as you do under 30, if you do, well, with the discount, but after the discount's expired, it goes to $1. So if you do anything under that, it's still charging you that $1. And in my circumstance, I'm only riding for like 5 minutes, maybe like 7 minutes max, but it's still charging a $1 rate. So maybe that's something that you could look into to get something worked out there.
Well, with the company, that won't be an option. 50 cents. The bikes are supposed to be used not like go across, like it's supposed to be used for like a longer distance, like maybe going uptown for a leisure ride. I do understand like your issue. I think 50 cents is pretty reasonable. There's another she mentioned before, it's $8 for an hour. So for us getting this discount, it's pretty great. And after it's expired, will be a continuous discount for students. So there will be no kind of problem with the 50 cents. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Yeah.
I could have sworn that the PACE representative had told us that I could be wrong because I haven't used the bikes yet, that if you rode it for like less than 30 minutes that you would be charged that amount.
She did say that.
Yeah. So it's 30 minutes for every 30, it's 30-minute increments. Yeah. So it's 50 cents per 30 minutes.
No, what I was saying is I'm pretty sure she had said that if you were to ride it for less than 30 minutes, like if you rode it for 10 minutes or so, it would charge you for that 10 minutes, not for the 30 minutes.
Yes, that's correct. So when I say 30-minute increments, that means if you use it for 30 seconds, 5 minutes, it's charging you for 30 minutes. So if whatever.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying is that she had said if you were only riding for like 10 minutes, it would charge you for that much.
No, that's not. Yeah.
It's just a flat rate.
I'll tell you what it is. I could be wrong.
No, she said she would reimburse. The app would reimburse you for whatever time that you didn't use.
Yes. So if you said that you wanted it for 3 hours and you only rented it for 1, that's reimbursed for the other time. But it's a straight for. I don't know, but that's what it is. Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. This week.
There's housekeeping appreciation. I think you meant that. Also, Student Life Committee, we will be helping out on the late night breakfast on the 23rd. So I guess by committee that just means me because there's no one else. So also, he said he can give me the information about the surveys tonight, so I can have that sent in an email. But that's it.
Is there a wellness report this week? Jerry? No. Okay. Advisors? John, you have something, right?
Yes. So, we have been, Stephen and his group and other folks have been working on flags for to put on the poles. If you remember, we talked about flags throughout the year. And so
what we agreed to with the administration is that we would pilot the flags on Kaufman Mall to see how it worked. Did they get stolen? Is it easy to take up, easy to take down? And then once we work out all the challenges, then we can expand and put them on the other places on campus. So the report that also talked about that pavement in front of the residence hall also had some suggestions from Stephen's committee at some point about where they wanted some different flags as well. So that we're going to test it on Kaufman, and our goal is to have these up before you all leave for graduation so that we can see what happens and how students react to them. So there are three options. If you remember there we had strategic communications and marketing came in and talked about our new branding piece. So these flags would be the first time that we really launched some of the new designs with the new brand. Okay, so there's three options. What I need you to do is to look at the three options and then tell me what you like and don't like. This may not be the ultimate end of the flags, but it will get us. Stephen's goal was to have something up by graduation, and so we want to go get as much feedback as we can, but we will need to move. So this is option one, and they will alternate on the flags, on the poles going down Kaufman. So it would have this on one pole, this on the other pole. Okay, and those will be the two that would. This is option number one. General thoughts on option one?
Can we see all that?
Absolutely, you can see there are three options. You sure can. That's a great idea. But remember what this option two has a lot of white on there, right? If you remember the part of the branding concept, it has things we're pulling from the art district downtown, right? The neon district. If you've seen the large mural down there, the flags. So that's what this one pulls in. So it has a white look on it. The crown will be on one side, Old Dominion on the other. Again, alternating going up and down the poles. And then option three has more of the flags. Okay, so 2 and 3 are similar, but there's more of this. So those are the three concepts. Now we can make some tweaks. You might like one or part of the other, but those are the general concepts that the branding company has come forward to get us closer to what we're looking for. We're moving more just to incorporating the crown as our icon. Right, so that's why you see the crown on all of them. Is the crown will be the more of our identifier than Paul or some of the other things. Okay, so I don't know how you want to do this.
I'll just start. So I'm going to say my opinion, then I'll start getting everybody else's opinion. So I think white gets dirty, and there's birds and pollen and everything else. So I think a darker color is maybe a better the first one. I do like this one though, the colors. That's my opinion. All right, other people.
I like the second and third one, but I have a question for the pictures. So it's just going to be the OBU and then a crown, or will some of them have student pictures and student athletes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So originally there was a concept that they would have student pictures, and for this set, it's not going to have the student pictures because we need to work out how the student pictures go into the brand. But you're right. We did have a look that would have student pictures, but timing and everything, we're just going to go with the basic ones. But that's certainly something for the next session. If we want to go back to the pictures, we can look at that. Okay, because that was on there. Okay,
so funny.
Can we see the second one, please?
I'm listening. I just need to get my phone. So I can.
Actually, I believe I like the first and the third ones.
Yeah.
I like the first one.
The second one is not. I don't know. I do like the first. I just like the colors.
It stays with the theme. Okay, Director Lucas.
Could you go back to the first one? I think the first one would be nice if you incorporate some of the flat colors that are number one. So instead of just all blue, it'll be all the other colors.
Yeah, I also think for the first, also if you can incorporate a little bit of white, in the stripes, right? I feel like we'll probably pop a little bit.
Add the orange and the black and all the other colors we add to that. Because the white is going to get dirty.
Sanderson's?
I like the third one the best. I just don't like the shape of the white area.
Yeah. You like it squared?
Yeah, I like it better. The stripes overlapping it looks weird.
Yeah. Is that this? Is kind of
yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Senator Stoll?
So the way that the first banner is set up and how they're like the whole backdrop of it are the stripes, would it be possible to make that exact banner except with the stripes of the previous two?
Yeah.
Because that's like that would look.
So these stripes would be
So,
the
like,
colors of the other one.
As opposed to like having this like dark blue and whatnot, the design, because I think what we all like is the stripes and the design and the color of the second two. So if we could like use this design but use those stripes, it would be like more colorful.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a big opinion.
Okay, so you like the colorful? Is that?
Yeah. But get rid of the white and just put it all as a whole backdrop and then have the white letters.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Director Cunningham?
Dawn, since you mentioned basic, I think the first one's kind of like basic. And the third one, it looks like a thought bubble, like when you're thinking. And I don't really like that much. And then the opposite colors, like I get like it's front and it's back, but I think if it was like symmetrical, like if it was the same on one side and it was the same on the other, that would be good.
Oh, good point, Brent. I'm sorry. This will be pole 1, this will be pole 2.
Oh, okay.
That's a good point. I wasn't
so it would
clear.
be like a front side and the back side be different. Okay.
No, it's pole 1, pole 2.
Director Montre?
Can you go to the first one real quick? So, if we had the first one, I know this has been spoken, but if we change the dark blue sections on the that are on the outside now to the dark blue in the middle, and then have the multicolors on the outside, and then if we add the Old Dominion University and make it just a little like bolder, because it's a little like small. I think it needs to be larger, and then the crown needs to be a little larger as well, because this is going to be like up high, and you're going to need to see the ODU like larger.
Needs to be brought up so.
Mr. Vice President-elect?
Can you go to the third one?
Yeah.
Oh, can you go to? Yeah. But so is the third one like that? Because like it'll be on a pole, and like because people are saying they want to make it like square, I guess, or rectangle, whatever. But if it's on a pole, it'll only be on like one side of it, because like a pole's like this way. Does that make sense?
I see.
So I think that's probably how to say, because it's gonna read. It would read weird if it was just straight.
Yeah.
It's on both sides of the pole.
I feel wait, what'd you say?
It's on both sides.
It's on both sides of the pole. So when you go Kaufman Mall or you come down, they'll be.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Just
yeah. No, I got to explain. I didn't explain very well. I'm sorry, but it's on both sides.
Okay.
I just have a question.
Yes.
So it's gonna be like ODU crown, ODU crown. Is that right?
ODU crown as you walk, you'll say, oh, ODU, oh, crown, ODU, crown. And you from this way, you're like, oh, crown, ODU, crown. It's not going to post on the same on both sides.
Okay, any more opinions? Yes.
I feel like the first design is what, I think it just looks better, the first design. Maybe the colors should get switched around a little bit. But the first design definitely looks like just clean.
Yeah. You could just incorporate some
Here's what's good. So consistency, what I got is, this is the design, but you want it to pop with color. Right?
And make the ODU bigger.
Yeah, ODU and the crown bigger. So here's what's gonna happen. After this, I'm gonna send it to the designers. They're gonna send me another design. We'll send it out to see if I got it right, okay?
Okay, any reserve seat reports? Anybody in a reserve seat position have anything to say? Reserve seat reports.
The APHC has a yard show on Thursday. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody? That would be Thursday.
Okay, any more reserve seat reports? Yes.
Well, I wanted to add to the yard show. It's gonna be in the big blue room in the TAD. The doors open at 7:30. Oh, it starts at 7:30, but the doors open at 7, so it's only 500 seats. So first come first served.
Get there early, or you're not getting in.
Is it free? Do you need like a ticket or like?
No, you just come in one time.
Oh, so they just count.
Once 500 people is inside that room, they're closing the doors.
That's awesome.
What's the time again? The opening of the doors?
Come at 7.
Got it.
I feel like, what if I got a P and like 501?
Okay, any more reserves reports? No? Okay, public comments, announcements. Yes, Director Lucas.
All right. I just want to just give a, warm congratulations to some of the senators who were chosen to serve in executive board capacities next semester. You know who you are. Pat yourself on the back. Look forward to working with you. And also, Miss Alexis Slider in the back is going to be our Director of Administrative Affairs for the next semester.
Any more public comments or announcements? Going once. Going twice. Okay, today on the agenda we had.
Sorry, I totally forgot. So, if you're not busy this Saturday, ASA's annual cultural show will be taking place in the North Path at 6:30.
Any more public comments or announcements? No. Okay, so today on the agenda, we have the adoption of the agenda, followed by the adoption of the previous minutes, followed by the new senator induction, followed by quorum, which was like 23 at one point, followed by the president's report, followed by the ODPD report, followed by our guest speaker from the DEA, followed by old business, followed by new business, followed by the executive board reports, the advisory report, reserve seat report, public comments, announcements, and is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Sullivan.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn. Is there a second? Is there any opposition? No opposition. We are now adjourned. Remember, we have a special session, so everybody stand up and sit back down. Are you two going to have the thing for me?
The what?
The agenda.
That thing on the agenda?
You guys get it?
Is the special session agenda done?
Yeah, that's the special session.
Oh, we're just kidding. I'm crazy. Okay. Hold on, let me count how many there are. Nobody move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the special session of Old Dominion University Student Government Association. This is my last one of these. All right, so don't be sad. So today we adopted the agenda, followed by quorum, followed by old business, resolution 15, followed by adjournment. Is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Cornejo. There's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Any opposition? No opposition. This agenda has been approved. All right, so quorum right now is 20, and will the chief sponsor of resolution 15 please come up?
Okay, so the resolution has basically already been explained. If you guys have any additional questions.
Are there any questions for the chief sponsor of this bill? Thank you. All right, so no further questions. Is there a motion on the floor at this time? Yes, Senator Rubber.
A motion to enter voting procedure.
There's a motion on the floor to enter voting procedures. There's a second.
Point of information. The microwaves. It's sent to the library. There was information that was sent to the library about the microwaves being in there, and it was said that they couldn't be in there in the location of it. So I don't know if you guys want to investigate that being the location of.
Point of inquiry. Where did you get this information from? And why wasn't the person in charge of the resolution informed of that?
That information was found out today, a little bit before Senate. And it's not that the bill cannot go through, it's just that it cannot go beside the coffee craters. That's the whole thing.
Why was that information withheld?
I just found out during the meeting.
Okay, so there's still a motion on the floor that we have to continue with. So,
Can I say something? No.
we have to continue with the motion that's on the floor. So, yeah, so there is a motion to enter voting procedure. Is there a second? Is there any opposition to enter voting procedure right now? Yes. Okay, because there's opposition, we'll take a rising hand vote. All in favor of enter voting procedure? Look at that, nobody. All opposed? Look at that, most people. Okay, so that motion clearly dies. Is there another motion on the floor at this time? Are there any questions? Because I think there's, yes.
Yeah. Well, point of information, rather. You guys will be passing a resolution that says that they would go in a specific spot, right? Is it in the... It says located at the Einstein Coffee Condiment Station. So I would strongly recommend that somebody would amend that, because if it can't be there, you can't advocate for the student body saying they want it there, because they should be aware that it cannot be there.
That's correct. So we can just, if we just take out the part where it specifically says where it is, we can still pass this today and work on where it's going after. Okay? Senator Terry.
Motion to make a friendly amendment to, where is that, line 5. Oh, well, there's a
Line 8 and 9.
Line, wow. 8 and 9. Line 8 and 9, or that whole 7 through 9, whereas, it goes where at the discretion of the library staff.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to amend lines 8 and 9 to remove the location and add just at the discretion of the library staff. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a second? Okay, is there any opposition? No opposition. Madam Chief Staff, can you please make that present? Okay, so is there another motion on the floor at this time? Yes.
Motion to enter voting procedure.
There's a motion on the floor to enter voting procedures. Is there a second? Any opposition? Okay, we are now in voting procedures.
It's, that's wrong.
What's wrong?
It's the wrong part of line 8 and 9. It's located.
There's a X out located at convents.
Okay, can you guys speak up, because we can't hear back here.
Alright, you said X out, or Tariq, if you want to say it.
Yeah. Start from the beginning, please. One person.
Yeah.
Sure, you said that.
Yes, go for it.
It would say would benefit having access to microwaves located at the discretion of the library staff.
Yes, so located in Perry Library at the discretion of the library staff.
Oh, in Perry Library.
Located in Perry Library, and then everything that's after it, like the located Einsteins, just get rid of that.
Thank you.
No, wait until this is good, until we go. You already have an at the, and then Perry needs to be capitalized too. Okay. And then capitalize the P in Perry.
It's ST, not SS. Like describe. Yep, that made no sense. Sorry, forget it.
Okay, we got it. All right, so there's a motion on the floor. Any voting procedures? Is there a second? Any opposition? Okay, we are now in voting procedure. All in favor of passing this bill, please raise your hand. Nice and high. This is my last count, guys. Oh, God. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's no punctuation after staff in line 9.
All right. How about, yeah, we're in the middle of voting procedure, guys. Are you guys still fixing? Are we voting prematurely? Let's vote. Okay, so all in favor of passing? There's no point of order. We're in the middle of voting procedure. All in favor of passing this resolution, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay, all opposed? Any abstains? Okay, so with 14 yeas, 0 nays, and 15 abstains, this resolution clearly passes. Alright, so today on the agenda, we had the adoption of the agenda, followed by quorum, which was 20, followed by old business, resolution 15, the microwaves in Perry Library. And is there a motion on the floor at this moment? Yes, Senator Williams.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn. Is there